What's up, guys? Giancarlo and Bodoni here. I'm here with my buddy Placido. He's going to help me out with today's technique. Today I just want to quickly touch on body lock passing, and I want to show you guys 3 variations of body lock pass that with no specific way of finishing the pass, but in terms of, strongest to weakest, or I guess in this case we'll start off with the weakest one and we'll work our way up into the strongest. So the body lock pass that everybody's familiar with is this one here, where we're in a butterfly guard and we put our training partner down to the mat, and then from here we lock our hands around the waist. And this is a really, really good position to control your partner, to prevent your partner from entering into your legs. And it is a very strong control position, but it could take some time to actually pass the guard from here. Okay, your training partner has sticky hooks and things of that nature. It could take a while to pass. It's very difficult for your partner to actually unlock your hands, hard for them to access the hands, so you can really take your time in that position and pressure your training partner out. But the actual process of passing may take a couple of minutes sometimes. So in that case, it's a very strong position and it's very easy to get to. All it requires is that I separate my training partner's elbows from his hips just enough to literally to fit my hands. So if I can just get my hands in here and I can go in and lock my hands, now pulling the hips in and driving your training partner down to the floor, okay, is pretty easy. And again, from here, not really a whole lot of offense that he can do. Very difficult for him to enter my legs, and I can really take my time and start passing a slow and controlled pressure pass game in this situation. So getting to the grip is relatively easy, but finishing the pass does take a little bit longer. As we start moving up that ladder, a second option, which is just a little bit better than what we refer to as a front body lock, which we just saw, would be a side body lock. And the only difference from this is, rather than being between my training partner's knees, I'm outside of my partner's knees. And you could already see from here why this is better. If you've done jiu-jitsu for any amount of time, you know that if your 2 knees get crushed together and they're pointed away from your partner, it's never a good thing. In general, you always want to have your knees open as the bottom player with your partner between your knees. So this is a great place to be, because from here, very difficult again for your training partner to recover. You have great opportunities to start looking to collapse your partner's arm, for example, take advantage of back exposure. You can pass in multiple directions. I could pass if I put my training partner down from this position and I managed to get him down to a shoulder. From here, I could pass to my training partner's backside. I could choose to pass in front of my partner's knees. I could choose to step over and start pressuring my way into a mounted position. And because I'm so controlled around my training partner's hips, from here, if he decides to start turning away from me, okay, back exposure. Again, I have this tight waist, so I control my partner's hips. So it's a little bit harder to get to because it requires some degree of setup and timing to get to that position, but it is a little bit stronger than that front body lock position. So probably the strongest one that we can get to, but as I've mentioned, it's going to be a little bit harder to get to, but it's going to be the strongest position to passing, is going to be a body lock where our lock is high on our training partner's neck. The problem with this one is that, yeah, you can do it when you're between your training partner's knees, but actually finishing the pass is a little bit more difficult from there. So it's best done in a half guard situation when you've already gotten over your training partner's knees. So that's what makes it, one of those positions that it's a little bit harder to get to. What I'm looking to get to is this. But the reason why it's a little bit harder to get to is because I have to actually go through the act of getting over my training partner's knees. And I have to be able to get underneath both my training partner's arms. I've gotten over the knees and I've gotten underneath both my training partner's arms, so I've beaten him on both sides, the upper body and both sides of the lower body. So from here, if you get to that position, the likelihood of passing is pretty high. The issue is actually getting to that position, getting over both your training partner's knees, getting past knee shields, for example, or butterfly hooks or what have you, getting past your training partner's frames. I mean, a lot of times in half guard, getting to 1 underhook can be difficult, much less getting to 2 underhooks. But if you can get to 2 underhooks, and again, there's a bunch of different strategies and ways that we can do that. If we can manage to lock our hands high with this high body lock, if you will, this is going to be the strongest locked hands passing position that you can get to. So in terms of body lock, if you had to structure them from strongest to weakest or weakest to strongest, I would say if you had to pick 3, getting to front body lock will be still very, very strong position. It's not weak by any means, but it is, out of the 3 that we touched on, the weakest in terms of your ability to pass, how long it takes you to pass and things of that nature, but it is the strongest in terms of the ease of getting to the position. Then we have side body lock, a little bit better in terms of actual passing, a little bit harder to get to than the front body lock. best of all, but hardest to get to, will be double underhook, hands locked high when you're over both knees. So just kind of a quick overview on the way that I look at those 3 body lock passing positions. 2 of them are more so around the waist, which is very good. But if you had the option between controlling your training partner's waist and pinning the head and shoulders is always going to be superior, especially when you're over both of your training partner's knees. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You can check out Placido's YouTube channel. I'll leave the link for that in the description. He's got a cool YouTube channel as well that I just filmed some content for. So you guys can go and check that out. Leave the link for that in the description. And I'll see you guys next time.